Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream. I'm sure David will be joining us shortly. Yeah, then. Hope we've all had a good week. Oh, hello, Tim. Welcome to another stream. Now then, we've got a main topic tonight to discuss, which hopefully some of you have seen in our thumbnail. We're going to talk about pressure and how it affects us in the hobby, and how some of it can be self-inflicted and some of it can be environmental. But I think if we're honest, it's hello V. I think it's something that we have all experienced to some degree in the past.
I am here, by the way.
Hello, sir.
I'm just a disembodied voice at the moment.
You'd give me a shout when you've got your
I will in a second.
Discord up and running, and we'll put you on camera for the people at home. Good evening, by the way.
Just died on me.
So, yeah, that's going to be our main topic. Obviously, we've got all of our usual little interludes. We'll tell you about what we're going to be hobbying on during tonight's session. And we'll also discuss what went on at Gaming Club for us Monday gone. And we'll chat and interact with you guys as things happen. I've had a fairly productive day. I hope we've all been busy. Probably most of you have been working. I'm lucky. I'm not talking about the salad outlasting Liz. Oh, God, no. Yeah, whatever. That's a can of worms we're not going to be going into. You safely put money on that, Tim. The nonsense that is the political system here in the UK is not something we're going to be discussing, and not something, frankly, I have any interest in anymore. Rather, at my age, I'm a bit over mainstream politics. The politics at the margins is the stuff that's interests me. So yeah, well, while we get David.
Every time I turn up late and try to put my camera on working, what does it do? It doesn't fucking want to play ball.
So while we wait for David to get set up, my plan tonight, brave though that might be, is to actually do some airbrushing.
God boy.
I've been busy today and I've managed to get great news, V. Hello, Dan. Yeah, definitely, mate. Minis in, politics out. Oh, well, fingers crossed for you, V. Hopefully everything goes okay. Yeah. Excellent. And so, come on, you guys can share today in the chat. Fill us in on what you're going to be doing. My plan is to airbrush. I managed to finish my Blood Bowl team, my Skaven, earlier. Got them all varnished up. I'm going to be putting up a hobby blog probably tomorrow morning because I'm working a late shift tomorrow. So I'm going to try and get the OTT project system filled in on that work. And now my next project is calling, and it's what we covered last week in the show, which is my Forge Fathers. So I have all 36 infantry models assembled. English is hard. Hello, Hugh.
Can you English?
So yeah, I'm planning to get everything primed because I'm a bit of a hiatus now. I need to get some priming done, so that's why the airbrush is necessary. But yeah, 36 models, all infantry list, 960 something points. And then I'll be ready to play some firefight.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice.
There we go.
The Dread Pageant. So Tim's painted Battlefield Bones Kickstarter. Was that...
Hello. There we go. My face should be live.
You are live, sir. Let me just reorient that for everybody at home. There we go.
The light is nowhere near set up and everything else.
So
but it's a start.
Now we have a David. Bing! 3, 2, 1. He's back in the room. Okay, yeah. So more miniatures, Tim. Is that what that sort of stretcher bearer and those ancillary bits you were doing for Frostcave were? That I saw on your Instagram. They looked really interesting, weird miniatures. I love stuff that's a bit out of the ordinary like that. It looked really good.
You're just odd.
He's painting V's painting the Dread Pageant. That's the Underworld Slanesh. Cool.
Yes, it is. It came with a starter box somewhere.
I just had a bit of an echo from you, mate. I don't know if that was transient or what.
Oh, yeah. You got my video
Yeah, it's
live?
No, I haven't, but I have got an echo on you. Dan's doing his Blood Bowl.
Better?
Give me a testing.
Better? No
Yes,
echo?
the echo gone.
Yeah, it was off Video Ninja, apparently, because Video Ninja on my mobile phone just likes to shit the bed.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, for reference, I do have your Video Ninja on. I haven't bothered with mine because obviously I've got bugger all to show anybody except a load of grey miniatures they've seen 100 times before. So Dan's doing his Blood Bowl, as I was saying. Excellent, Tim. So it was a Battlefield Bones Kickstarter. I may search for that later because they look like some really odd pieces.
We do have some hobby news this week. It's actually been quite a busy week for hobby, really, for releases.
Has it? Go on.
Well, so the things that obviously we are talking about later.
The news.
But yeah, the news.
Ooh.
I mean, there's new Rough Riders from GW. There's
yeah, I didn't really take a lot of notice of those.
Upon release, it's been quite a lot going on.
It's funny how perceptions can be. I thought it was a bit of a dead week, frankly.
Really, Warcrow going live.
Yeah, but
plus other stuff.
I mean, we'll discuss Warcrow later
in a bit. Yeah.
Let's do our routine. So, what's your plan? Hang on a minute before you get into it. V, what do you mean? We're missing some artwork on our screen?
Je ne sais quoi.
No, but please post details because I don't know what you mean or whether you're trying to be funny or what. Anyway, mate, so everybody knows what I'm doing. On with the Dr. Frankenstein gloves.
For the angry troll in the corner. I'm currently ripping brims off 3D prints. I've got Armada to paint, seeing as you're a fucking letdown, sir.
Oh, shut up.
And
although that is fair.
Yeah. You're a fucking liability.
I managed to get myself, for everybody who doesn't know, the solid black background on this. Oh, I see what you. Yes, it's part of our new colour, V. The green is gone.
The green hath gone.
Yeah, we're now.
We've gone dark.
Yeah. To fit the artwork that Joe did me from EyeAmPhibian, we went with a sort of black and yellow scheme.
Yeah.
For the general theme. So yes, I managed to double book myself, is what David's bitching and moaning about. So
yeah, fucking too rightfully. The entire reason you have a diary system and you put people in your calendar is so that you don't disappoint and double book. And
yes.
What did you fucking do?
Disappointed and
double book because you're fucking useless.
Yeah, but just because I've got a diary doesn't mean I keep it up to date.
Yeah, but you should.
It's the goth emo phase. Piss off, Tim. So cheeky.
I'm not okay.
Oh, so I don't know. I don't know which one's the goth, which one's the emo. You're probably the emo, aren't you?
Yeah. Especially after the week I've had at work. Jesus fucking H Christ.
Yeah, oh my god. You're certainly emotional. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing hobby-wise. Now, club night, mate. What did I obviously? Shouldn't we to go first?
You go first. Why break the habit of a lifetime?
So, Ricky and I had another go at Firefight.
You Ricky.
We played the introductory scenario from the Firefight 2nd edition starter box. I'm just going out of shot a second, people, but I shall keep talking. Same miniatures as last time, so it's the recommended 750 odd point lists that come in the starter mission thing. And yet again, I sort of ran away with it with the Marauders, and poor old Ricky's enforcers got absolutely shafted. We sort of abandoned it by turn 3. And I was something like 8-4 ahead on objective points.
What is it with you kicking puppies when you actually play people?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I did find it.
You did it with me and the Pano and the using.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely ruffle stomping me into the corner regards losses. I know I won that game.
Yes.
But it was by sheer fucking luck and judgment.
I think as well, Infinity has the finesse to separate killing from scoring.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I felt a bit frustrated at the end of the game because I can't really understand what the problem is. I mean,
well, I know we dissected it at McDonald's.
Yeah, Ricky's dice were bad, but they weren't crushingly bad. I think with the enforcers, you have to, particularly against the Marauders, who have so many bodies. I mean, it's like they're fielding 3 10-man units.
Everybody can go for a look at them.
I think you've got to capitalise on the pinning rule. Which just wasn't happening. And as I say, it was a bit frustrating. I'm looking forward. For our next game, we're going to step away from the starter set and we're going to go full ball 1,000 point lists. Ricky's bringing some extra bits to his enforcers to sort of increase his range of options, bringing in the big Strider model, which is like the pseudo dreadnought. And
he's already been making purchases then, has he?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he didn't have to purchase a heck of a lot. He had to purchase the Strider. He did. He couldn't find Mantic do a forward observer command model for the enforcers, but he couldn't find that online. So I just scratch built him something out of my enforcers from my Dead Zone 2nd edition because I'm not going to use them. So I built him a model up to use for one, and it looks really good with a sniper rifle and that.
It did look pretty fucking banging. Even I admit that.
You know, basically, he didn't really need to add much. I mean, this is the nice thing about these Mantic products. We've said it before. Even if you buy a 2-player starter set, your purchases, your actual financial investment to just push that to the full playable game is minimal.
Yeah, it's
isn't
not
it?
terrible, is it?
I mean, I know I've got a fairly limited list in that it's all infantry, but my Forge Fathers, for example, they're all it's like the Dead Zone starter plus a Dead Zone faction box. Hello, Jerry.
How is that?
Yes, mate. It was the model we couldn't get, the forward observer model, Jerry. I basically took one of my Enforcer Pathfinders that I wasn't going to use, and stuck the sniper rifle option on him, and put a few sort of like Forge Father sprues, spare bits, just to dress him up so he looks a bit more than your average run-of-the-mill mook. And he's going to use that model for it. But yeah, do you hear anybody in the chat? Is it in stock now? Because it was out of stock.
Ow, I'm burning myself.
Have you played much Firefight, Jerry? Or has anybody?
Jerry has played everything.
Yeah, I know. But
so, isn't it all theoretical anyway as to who's played what and done what?
Because as I don't know if you were here, but we were just saying about, I don't know what we feel like we're missing something with the Enforcers versus the Marauders, and I did say at the end of what happened Monday, I wonder how balanced that starter set is, because it seems to be a bit lopsided both times we've played it, but that could just be us. So, what did you get up to Monday, mate?
I played some Billion Suns.
Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you?
And I absolutely fucking loved every second of it. Absolutely awesome game. Absolutely awesome system. The fact that you're technically playing 4 different games all at once, but they all interlink and work together is really good. It's quite well balanced because it's using different D6 points.
See, Jerry was here before Tim even posted.
Yeah, but also, Jerry, if you snooze, you lose. You've got to get your foot in the door. You got to beat Tim here next week.
Jerry. That's what Jerry's saying. Jerry was here, but he was lurking.
But there's no categorical proof.
Anyway,
hate to be that guy, but there's no categorical proof.
So you were telling everybody about Billion Suns. Billion
Suns, yeah, absolutely awesome game. Lovely little system using, for those that don't know, D12s through down to D3s. The only dice they miss is D4s. Nice little system at the start of the game where you command points and deciding whether you're going to use them to seize initiative and go first, whether you're going to put them into jumping in, or whether you're going to put them into tactical phase stuff for when you're moving your ships about and everything else. Absolutely awesome game. I think you'll love it, mate, honestly.
I must confess, I am excited to give it a try. My plan is, David already knows this, my plan is to repurpose my unused Star Wars miniatures for it.
Because you're an absolute monster.
And hopefully that will work.
I mean, I can't say it won't work. I did, however, see an article where we had what I think is on the Billion Suns website actually, where they mentioned like base sizes for the masses of the ships. So,
okay.
Like mass 3 are on 60s. Mass zeros are on like 25s.
So is this a recommended convention?
A recommended size, but obviously they're spaceships, they can go over the base, it doesn't matter. So that was that. It was actually quite a close game for our first game. We both thought we were going to go bankrupt until I remembered something in the rules about when we blow up the because we went asteroid mining, clearing out infected people from facilities and hacking space satellites. I remembered at the end of the asteroid one that it's money per like 2 times the numbers of players playing. So therefore, rather than us both making a loss, I barely scraped by and made $1 profit.
Okay, fair enough. Because the win con is tied to
profit
sort of
loss
like
status.
the money you make versus the resources you spend.
Yes,
isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's actually a really cool, nifty system. I'd like to get you
No, Jerry. So to just come back to my game, basically we were playing the starter set. So the recommended lists in the quick play guide. So it's a peacekeeper captain plus guy with a pulse rifle or burst laser, whatever the hell it's called. Then he's got a pair of peacekeepers again with a second burst laser, and 2 5-man assault squads with incinerators, and 2 5-man standard enforcer bods with burst lasers. So, as I say, burst laser, burst laser, burst laser is generally the way Mantic have got the list set up for their recommended starter force. And as I said, we discussed it on Monday, and I think leaning into the pinning effect off that weapon, sort of like if you're the enforcer player, try to go first, take a double activation, shoot your pinning weapons into the big marauder units so that they don't get so they lose an action point effectively, because they're never going to pass the nerve tests.
Your commander's got to go ASAFP.
As I say, unless you tell me different and you know you fools, they beat the Marauders by doing X. Because as I say, both the games we've played, the Marauders just absolutely fucking mauled it. Although one thing we did realise, and correct me if I'm wrong here, when you lose all of your command models, you can no longer activate your command abilities, or whatever they're called in that game, faction powers or whatever, because it says in the rules you can activate it on any model within 12 inches of a command model. So presumably if there's no command models, the Marauders then can't use them, which is huge. Because obviously if my leader gets sniped, I'm super screwed as a Marauder player. So yes, I definitely will have to be giving that Billion Suns a try, mate. Now, Wayne lent you his rulebook, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Have you had a chance to have a look at it much?
Briefly.
You'll have to pop over with it on Saturday. Chick it in the bag.
Yeah, I was planning on doing it anyway. I know there is already a pay what you want expansion for Billion Suns.
Is there?
For larger scale and more like Warzone themed games.
Is that like on Drive-Through RPG or something?
Yes, it is on Drive-Through RPG. It's pay what you want. At the moment, I just got it for free because I just wanted to have a look at it. But I am, when I go back and get the rulebook from Amazon, going to go and put some money in Joseph McCullough's pocket because it's awesome.
I didn't realise it was a McCullough game. Billion Suns?
Not McCullough. Mike Hutchinson, guy from Gaslands.
Yes, I was going to say. I didn't realise it was him. That's because it wasn't him.
I don't know my game authors, boys and girls.
To be fair, if that was the only thing you didn't know, mate, that would be good.
You're rude.
So rude. So yeah, that's what we did at club then. I hope everybody here got some gaming in. Obviously, I know UV did. I don't know. Were you there? You weren't there on. Were you there on Monday, Dan? Were you D&D? I can't remember, mate. So mate, news.
I'm being called out and attacked.
Your mobile pinging.
For living life by the seat of my pants. Thank you, Laura.
Well, because he was late again, Laura. Is that what that one's about?
More than fucking likely. Yeah, I suppose we can do it in a little bit of a different order this week. News.
Well, what do you mean different order? We haven't got anything else to talk about, have we?
I don't even know my name most
Just
times.
in case anybody's wondering why they can't hear my airbrush, because I've just realised I haven't drilled out any barrels.
Oh dear, somebody is
so
do some bullshit.
I may not get to the airbrush Because after I finish
Dude,
drilling out 36 fucking gun barrels, I imagine 2
that's-
hours will have gone.
you're only looking at an hour and 30 now.
Shut
so
up.
get on with it.
I am doing. Anyway, yeah. So, come on, big week for news, you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon it's been pretty busy. I mean, there's you messaging me of have I seen the new Underworlds format? Nemesis.
Yes, yeah.
I'm on the fence about that.
I tell you what, go on then. Let me bring it up for people.
So Nemesis, from what I can read in the premise, is play with your faction-specific cards, i.e. powers and objectives, mix in everything else and do your own deck building, basically, with a set of training wheels. For those that might be intimidated, I don't know, by the tourney scene and rotation and the meta and all these big words that people use nowadays when they're playing games. I'm not a fan. I honestly don't think it's going to cure the problem that I saw you comment about on somebody's YouTube video. Of, okay, you're leaving the flavor stuff in and everybody gets access to these universal rivals decks. I still don't think it's going to fix the issue that some certain factions, Morgox Crushers being one of them, are absolutely broken.
Yeah.
Like, even with their base deck. Like, okay, take out all the generic jank and update it with new modern stuff. They're still going to be fucking broken. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah, I mean,
the minis in Gnarlwood do look awesome. I'm in love with the Skellies.
yeah,
Absolutely in love.
That's old news, mate. All of the Underworld's miniatures are absolutely spanking. Really.
I'm yet to come across a set that I don't actually like.
Do you know what? I was just actually thinking to myself, are there actually any I don't like? But do you know what? I don't think there are.
The only one I didn't like was actually the one that the one V's painting now with the Dread pageant in.
I can't picture them.
I loved the Dread pageant, but hated the fucking Lumineth that they shipped with. The fucking, like, high elves.
Were they
why?
The Lumineth? Yeah, I can't even picture them in my head, so...
I can't remember what the actual name is, but they're like high elves. And
yeah, Lumineth are the high elf replacement, aren't they?
Yeah, because you trademark that shit.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, so Warhammer Underworlds has two play modes currently. Standard, which is Championship. Basically, it's a seasonal rotation. The cards, you use the cards, I think, from the last two base sets, plus some cards that they say they're allowed. And you go full on deck building to build your deck that you play with during your game. Not my cup of tea. Involves far too much work.
If we wanted a deck building game, we'd possibly go and play MTG.
Yeah, exactly. I've done full on CCGs. I'm a bit over it, frankly.
It's an easy way to burn money.
Then it has Rivals. Now, Rivals is basically play with the deck that came with your starter box.
No, it isn't. It isn't even that.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, Rivals is two pre-constructed decks. It's why they're making a big thing about it in Gnarlwood, because you have two faction decks, one for the Skellies, one for the Beastmen kind of people. And then you have two Rivals decks that you can throw those cards into any other deck that you want to and use them to deck build and tweak and everything else. And this is what they are saying is basically the Rivals decks are for the set.
Yeah, but current, I'm talking about pre-Gnarlwood. So, like, currently...
Yeah, but Rivals is still a thing. It's just the decks don't come in the box up until now. You used to have to go out and buy them separately, the Rivals decks.
No, I'm fairly sure that's not right, mate. Let me just go on to...
And Rivals is for all the newer stuff is done off the list. Yeah. but Rivals isn't a thing for older
I
warbands.
apologise to everybody if the audio goes weird while I open up another web page.
Who's having fun outside my door with
It looks like they've changed it. Yeah, they've already updated the website. I was going to try and find the old document for the different play modes. But anyway, the upshot of it is exactly like David said. The issue with the earlier box sets that they issued back in Wave 1 and Wave 2 of Warhammer Underworlds, for me,
and Wave 3,
is that the faction cards are underpowered. The objective cards score you very little for having to jump through a fuck ton of hoops compared to the new ones.
The Sepulchral Guard are a prime example of that. Hold objective 1, hold objective 5, everything else. And it's like, well, that's wonderful because Gloom means I don't know what objective's what. And yeah, that's a thing. And they're slow as fuck. And it's hold these objectives. And that's basically the only way you can score. There's no, like, take out your opponents.
Yeah, but it's not so much that.
No,
it's that the new warbands are things like score 2 objective points by wounding an enemy model. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, that's a bit fucking easy.
Everybody else is cooking on gas.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Sepulchral Guard, I've got to go stand on an objective. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And this is because Blackjack Legacy mentioned it on his stream and said, "Oh, is this the time to get back into it?" And I'd love to. I'd love to say yes, but
no, it's not. If you treat them as standalone sets with beautiful miniatures, yes, but then that's true of every other bloody set that's come before it.
Yeah, if you sort of buy it as a board game, the starter set, and just play it as it is and don't fuck about with it, it's fine. But once you start treating it as a scalable game and you're mixing and matching everything, then it's like, no, we're out. So yeah, that was a piece of news, wasn't it? This is something I wanted to mention, and I've been wanting to mention it for a while, and I keep forgetting, was Army Painter. Now, Army Painter have done a series of videos recently. They've been really sort of like sticking the news out there. They did one the other day, which was like a total prick tease video about big news for speed paint, but we can't tell you what it is. So I'm guessing that we're going to have
immediately got a rod on and then got annoyed because they didn't quench your first.
Yeah, because I am a huge fan of the Army Painter speed paint product, and I'm guessing that there must be a whole new wave of colours and that coming, which I think
I would also hazard a guess that they've tied it in with possibly with the Vallejo stuff to steal some wind out of their sails.
But possibly. But I mean, it's good that because when the first lot were released, I emailed them and said, your product is brilliant, but there's only 23 of them. When can we get more? And they emailed me back and said, thanks very much for your interest, but we've got no plans currently. So something must have happened. Because when did the original ones come out? Is it a year yet?
I don't quite know.
I don't think it's that long. But it's great that they're extending the range because, like I say, I think they're a great product. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Consistent performance, great value for money, do exactly what they say on the tin. I mean, you've only got to...
Only issue is the reactivation.
Yeah. Tim, have you had massive problems with your speed paints reactivating? I know you've been caning them recently on your Frostgrave minis. Or like me, have you not really found it be a problem?
I suppose it depends on your painting style.
Yeah.
If you're a paint it, leave it guy.
As I say.
To coincide with their 15th birthday live stream.
So, what, the announcement, Jerry, or their original release was their 15th anniversary? Was it? Because was it a year ago? I'm trying to think. I bought them when I was still in Scotland.
But that narrows it down.
And I was there 3 years. But it doesn't seem like it was forever ago that I bought the original full box.
I think you bought them like last year, but I think
no, Tim says middle of this year, and he's not had any reactivation. I had it. I'll be honest. I'm going to come clean, Tim. I had it with one colour, hardened leather. That was the only one. Yeah, the announcement. The only one that I had any issues with was hardened leather on those Assassin's Creed minis. When I tried, because I got it on an area that I wanted to put the red on, and then when I tried to cover it with the primer to mask it, it bled through. But that was it.
Cheers, V, and catch you Monday, mate.
Okay, V, don't worry. See you later. So, but yeah, and they've had other little snippets of news, haven't they? They did they're putting. They heard what everybody said about their paint range. They said, "Yeah, we hear you. We're going to put balls in everything."
Well, thank fuck for that. At least somebody's doing it.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
I mean, the video on YouTube, it's literally like, yeah, okay, we get it. We've done it. All of the Army Paint, a core range of paints, is now going to have mixing balls in as standard.
Have they stated whether they'll be steel or?
They didn't. I'm guessing the guy in the white shirt, who I think is the CEO or some sort of top honcho, he basically just said they've retrofitted all of their paint filling lines with ball machines, and I imagine they'll use the same ones as the speed paint range, because all of the speed paint have 2 metal balls in them. So I imagine it'll be the same, but I don't know. But I'm really impressed with Army Painter. They've done some great videos recently on YouTube. They seem to have a great customer focused attitude. Not only do they come on and ask for feedback, but they then give feedback on the feedback they've received.
Yeah, and we don't worry, boys and girls. We hear you. We're fixing it, which is more than can be said for other people.
Do you know what I mean? And over a relatively short time frame, frankly, which I think is impressive. So that was one of the things I wanted to call out. How are we doing for time? 20 minutes.
You got time.
Let's talk about this. I'm sure Jerry's... In fact, Jerry, we'll just hobby. You tell everybody about this in the chat.
Come on then. Spill the beans.
I've
looked at it. I'm honestly considering backing.
Yeah. Okay. So, obviously, for everybody who doesn't know, Warcrow is the new fantasy game from Corvus Belli.
Dungeon crawler.
It is, I would describe it as a Gloomhaven-y style game, Oathmark-y style game.
You know what really got me? It's very Dungeon Saga.
Yes.
With the tile layouts and the random initiative. I know, obviously, Dungeon Saga is I go, you go. So this is more like an RPG, and you don't necessarily know when your enemy's going, and there's those kinds of variables.
Well, no, Dungeon Saga is you have to have a GM.
Yeah, but no, this is what I mean. Like this to me, I think, is going to fill some of the gaps from Dungeon Saga that I feel were missing.
I binged watched most of your content this morning, Jerry, on my morning off. So my take on it is this. I think the app, unlike you two curmudgeons in the chat, I think the app is actually a good idea. And I think app-driven story.
Well, you've got Mansions of Madness, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got Mansions of Madness, but And I think the app is a good idea. I don't think it's necessarily...
groundbreaking?
Well, no, I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world if you don't like it, because surely you can just take... It's a bit like Dungeon Saga. Last time had a last live stream, we described Dungeon Saga as a toolkit product, I think, or last time we talked about it. We never really played Dungeon Saga as it was. I think
as per the rules.
When I bought it, I played the Dwarf King's Quest campaign as written once.
Well, correction on that. We played it as written once, but everybody completely missed the part in the rules where you can only do 1 damage to a player per attack. And we were playing Dungeon Saga on literally God tier difficulty where attacks are doing 3-4 damage because DM spiked dice.
Yeah, but that was a rules error. That was nothing to do with...
No, that's not the game. That's us.
That was like the player's error, that. But... after that, we sort of used it as some homebrew roleplay light system, and we didn't
basically D&D light for one-off scenarios.
We didn't use the sort of tactical board game win conditions where the overlords only got to get one party member down and then they're gone. And we added, just like Warcrow, we added our own interact actions, didn't we, mate? Where you could interact with map elements and search pieces of furniture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think you could do the same with Warcrow. I mean, again, it's 120 euros, is it? 105 quid for what's basically a dungeon crawler toolkit. You get some minis, some tiles.
They're Corvus minis. So they're be gorgeous.
Sorry. Look, Jerry's just threw up on his hobby desk because I said it. Roll RPG with minis. Sorry, Jerry. But I won't be backing it, mate, because for me, it is too much like Gloomhaven, which I already have.
Yeah,
it is too much like Dungeon Saga, which I already have. It does not look a bad game by any means, and if I did not own any of those things, I would probably get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus 40 euro. Yeah, that's fair, Tim. But obviously, it just doesn't. There's for me, there's not enough that's different.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I want to support Corvus in their endeavours with this fantasy world. I love Corvus minis. They're always fucking gorgeous.
Yeah. They
always paint really fucking well. Again, I don't own anything with this app like interface or whilst I own Dungeon Saga and League of Infamy, I don't own Gloomhaven or anything like that. And to be brutally honest, I need an excuse to pick up board game-esque rules like games like this that I can play with friends and have a board games evening. Because at the moment, I own 3 or 4. I don't own enough of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It is what it is. And again, I would like, because we play board games once a month at club, it's like given. It happens the week of painting comp. I would like to be able to bring a board game, a different board game, every month for a year. That's only 12 board games. And I currently own like 4, 5?
Okay.
So a couple more isn't going to hurt or break the bank.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you. I like the initiative rondelle. I think that looks really cool.
That's a fucking genius idea.
Yep. I love the way that if you've got just one less or one higher agility or whatever it is, so your initiative position is 3 instead of 4, because you skip forward all the time, it amplifies in its effects.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not you just go first. It's like you will go more often as well. I like the design. I like the dice. I like the dice colours and the way you can upgrade and downgrade the colours. I like the dice system. And I think all credit to them. They've taken really formulaic ideas. There's nothing groundbreaking in this. No. They've taken, I mean, coloured dice with different probabilities. We've all seen it 100 times. The initiative rondel is slightly unique, perhaps. App-driven games, well, we've all seen Mansions of Madness, Crime Story, is it?
DS2, Jerry. Does that mean there's another?
Oh, don't tell me he doesn't know, Jerry. We've got him. Dungeon Saga 2.
Did I miss news this week?
You did.
When the fuck is this coming?
To be fair, do you know what? I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm baiting you a little bit. The only reason I know that there is a Dungeon Saga 2 is that I saw Jerry talking about it. So Jerry is the font of all knowledge.
I missed on Tuesday night?
In answer to your question, Jerry, yes, I very much am interested in Dungeon Saga 2 because for me, the product was that close to being brilliant. If they'd have added in like a mechanism for non-combat interaction, more role-play style elements, and to add a more narrative feel to it, and stepped back a bit from this tactical board game where it's one versus many, and for me it was a bit too adversarial in the way that it was set up.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ronnie mentioned it when he was at Essen. Okay, mate. So we're really working with crumbs at the minute, are we? Okay, interesting. Do you have any inside scoop? Are we talking revolution or evolution? Do we know? What's the SP? Tell us, oh wise one.
He's our only hope.
Tell us, Jerry. You're our only hope. Right. Well, while Jerry types frantically, mate, this one's yours.
This is Beam Down, I would hazard a guess. So, Saucermen Studios, 3D print studio, close to my heart because all of the terrain they have produced pretty recently has been fucking awesome. Flatline City 1.
I was just about to say Flatline City was theirs.
Stuff. Amazing.
If anybody wants to see pictures of all of their stuff or see more information about Saucermen Studios, check our old videos. David's brought them up several times, and you've backed several Kickstarters, haven't you, mate?
Yes, I have. I have spent a fair bit of money. Now,
Ooh.
On the surface of this, you see it, and it's...
Jerry's on the football.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
It looks expensive because it's in not US dollars, Australian dollars. But I think from memory, I had a quick scroll on, looked at this earlier today. For 56 of your Great British pounds, which not that it's worth a lot at the moment, you can get lifetime access to Beamdown. Now, all of you at the back are asking, what is Beamdown? Beamdown is a web-based application where you can build your own terrain around like room setups, layouts, adding greeblies, details, that kind of thing. They've got a load of sets coming. They've got loads of fucking stretch goals galore, something that we're not overly fond of with Kickstarters, but hey ho, cater for the people that give a shit at the back. Yeah, it's nice. I don't know whether I'm going to back it or not. It's more have a look and see, I think, because there's Walkway's been opened and a load of other stuff that are coming on the stretch goals. And yeah, it's just cool. And I think the part of it for me is the fact that your table will be completely unique because you have built the table completely uniquely.
So why do you think you'll hold back on backing, mate?
Do I need yet more terrain?
I see. Right. Okay.
Is my point.
Do you think, to be fair, once the platform's launched, do you think this is one of those things that it'll appeal more to new gamers? People who don't have a huge terrain collection?
Well, they have already announced the fact that there will be future either Kickstarters and or paid for releases for you to use the Beamdown platform with new stuff that they add. So basically, it's going to be like your printablescenery.com or Source of Men Studios at the moment, where you open it up and pay your money and get your files.
Okay.
Except now you've got to arrange your files into something that you like before you do it. So it's a bit more involved and a bit more work. This is the other thing I'm a bit dubious of.
Okay.
I've already got work 3D printing and painting a set of terrain. Do I need to model it myself? And it's, as I've said to you time and time again, I'm a design engineer. I'm in CAD all day. I would love, long term, to model my own stuff and have it printed and say I did that.
Yes.
But it is not the same for me as working with my hands and building walkways out of fucking matchsticks and coffee stirrers, because it's something I do all day at work and it doesn't really feel like hobby, which again links in quite nicely with what we're talking about in a bit.
Funnily enough, when you mentioned this, I thought about when I watched the, for anybody who doesn't know, the people who are watching us catching up later on YouTube, some dude on YouTube and Jerry McCabe, who are both in the chat currently, run a Twitch stream every Tuesday night, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim.
Yeah, 8 till 10.
Which is the informal hobby hangout for the OnTabletop platform, where they go through projects that have been uploaded on that site and sort of critique them and just sort of share thoughts, etc. They talk about a load of other stuff, and funnily enough, one of the things they talked about this week was sculptors and the talent, the absolute raw talent that people who sculpt miniatures professionally or whatever have got, both in the old school sense of hand sculpting, and Jerry mentioned a live stream he'd seen where a guy did a 3D sculpt in 45 minutes of like this fucking killer model for Conquest, I think it was, or some other system, just from like a grey ball in Blender to there you go, one fully rendered model. And obviously they were talking about that, and when you raise this is the same. For me, I thought, well, this is maybe the next iteration of scratch building, isn't it?
I suppose it's digital scratch building, because you get to build it how you want and then print it how you want.
So
you can finesse what you want to wrangle.
Because there's Hero Forge, isn't there? Now, Hero Forge is sort of the human model version of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you can render your own sculpt using their interface. I mean, here's the thing. Get your tinfoil hat on. Do you think this is the future? Do you think we're going to give 10 years from now? Are there going to be a whole slew of web platforms with 3D interfaces where people can sculpt terrain, models, alien species?
Yeah, but Paul, we've already been over this. This 3D printing malarkey isn't going to catch on until it's nice and clean and simple for people like yourself,
right,
to get into it.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I do.
This is a niche within a niche.
I mean,
Don't
obviously,
get me wrong.
Because
I love 3D printing. I've spent the last week banging my head against the table with issues that I've got with my resin printer at the moment. It's the first time I've had issues with my resin printer. Gloss over that subject matter. But I've already got a ton of work in downloading files from Patreon, loading them up, slicing them, getting them ready, putting them on the printer, hitting print, coming back 8 hours later, ripping them off the printer, cleaning them up, priming them, painting them, getting them tabletop ready. Already enough.
Yeah.
And there's enough other talented people on the internet that deserve my money for sculpting and arranging beautiful pieces of terrain like the Country and King Kickstarter and other bits and pieces for terrain, for minis, for whatever. Completely get that.
Yeah.
I would happily give Source M Studio my money, and I already have given them my money several times. Do I really want to add another step in the process of, right now, I've got to build a room? But for niche things like Infinity, where you have to have a room of a certain size, or you've got a particular gap in your table that you want to fill, this is fucking amazing and wonderful if you haven't got scratch building skills yourself.
Yeah.
Or it's a sci-fi and it's going to be a bit harder to make it look like it should.
But to actually say this is one of the cornerstones of your hobby, to build all of your tables in this is like, no.
Again, it's a stretch for me. If I didn't work all day on a computer every day, would possibly be slightly less annoyed by it.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Got you. Interesting.
Some of it stems from my work.
Have your say in the comments below, people. What do you think? Is this the future? Is digital technology going to take over this aspect of the hobby as well? Are we no longer going to see scratch building or handmade terrain, scratch build and converted miniatures? Are we just going to get 3D platforms where you can sculpt your own designs and then just print them? Interesting. I don't really know. I think it's not me. It's certainly not my bag. But I'm old guard, and I've been, I wouldn't be surprised to find that me in the future are out of step.
That's why we bounce each other, though, because you've liked the Flatline City stuff, but again, you don't own a 3D printer. So,
no. I mean, I agree. I love the Flatline City stuff, but if I didn't know you, would I have taken any interest in it? No, because I know I'm never going to print it or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't look at 3D Kickstarters for that reason. There's no point. One last piece of news, and then we'll get onto our main topic, as it's coming up for 9 o'clock. This fucking debacle.
Oh, what? Fucking Slapchop?
Right. No, we're not even going to talk about Slapchop. We'll mention that in a second. Kill Team Shadow Vaults.
Oh, right? God, this fucking train wreck. Here we go. Get your soapbox out.
Right. So, I have actually been quite positive about Kill Team so far. Ever since the new iteration, the 21 edition, or whatever the fuck everybody's calling it shorthand, because GW refused to fucking name their products properly. As I've said on the stream before, I'm a fan. I was really proud of them for taking the step of saying, this is umbilically attached to our Sacred Cow 40k. Well, fucking that's done. We're going to cut that. We're going to cut that umbilicus, and we're going to set this game free to be something completely different. And it's got unique mechanics, and it's got a unique feel. And then they release these sort of like sets once every 3 months with a nice collection of models and terrain. They're not the cheapest thing, but everything Games Workshop releases is fucking expensive.
Yeah, it's no longer 40k light. How about it?
And then Into the Dark came out, and I'm like, that's fine. It's just a whole new setting, different feel, great versatile terrain. And then 40 days after the first one, they say, oh, here we go. Another 110, £20 box of shit for you to buy, which is essentially the same terrain with one sprue and 2 other warbands. And it's like, hang on a minute, 40 days? What happened to the 3-month release cycle? Are you taking the piss? But I thought, okay, I've got everything else, I'll probably buy it. Because again,
at this point.
I think the terrain is great, and to have more of it, so I can convert a whole 4x4 table into the inside of a spaceship. That's amazing. Can you imagine Stargrave, bloody Aliens versus Predator? I've got loads of miniature games where I'm just like, oh my god, the possibilities. That'll be great. So I thought, okay, I'll get this one as well. So pre-release this week, I thought I'll shop around on the internet, see what the deals are. Nope. Couldn't do that. Couldn't find this anywhere. And I couldn't understand why no third-party retailer had got this on their website.
Not even the likes of Wayland.
No. And then I found this listed on Element Games, and I clicked through, and it said it was sort of greyed out, and it said in the text below, this product is no longer available for distribution and will be sold by GW Direct only. And I was like, what? Are you fucking serious? Yeah, I know, Jerry, but they're taking the piss, mate. £100 plus box. If they're going to do this every 40 days, they can spin at this point. But that's not the worst of it. I had to buy this from them at full price.
Well, no, you didn't have to buy it.
Well, I did, because I couldn't find it anywhere. And then, when you do buy it, fuck me, 2 days later, it's out of stock. How many of these things did they print or make? This company is beginning to get seriously on my fucking tits. You know, distributing things themselves, charging full whack, and then things sell out after 2 days. It's like a fucking concert ticket. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, GW doing GW shit. Are you really fucking surprised?
I'm not so much surprised as just absolutely fucking annoyed. And I just wanted to have my moment talking about it. Now, I paid my £110 on Saturday, got it from Games Workshop. It's going to be delivered, hopefully, sometime soon. Anytime after Monday. But that's not the point. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when's the next one coming out?
Yeah.
Is it going to be distributed only by GW? If I want it, do I have to pay full price from them?
Yeah, but Paul,
it's fucking ridiculous.
Vote with your fucking feet.
I tell you what.
Let them.
Yeah, this will be. If the next one comes along in 5 minutes like a bus, they can fuck off. This will be the last Kill Team purchase I make. So.
How are those Kill Team purchases going for you on the hobby pile of shame?
Sorry?
How are those Kill Team purchases
going for you? Oh, they are still on the hobby pile of
shame,
as you so correctly said. So, it's gone 9 o'clock, people. That's our sort of assessment of the news. The one other thing that I haven't even pulled up on a web page because I don't even think it worthy of fucking mentioning, really, but David's mentioned it. Everybody's probably seen in the web on the YouTube this week about this slap chop, and I think it was the Honest Wargamer who started this slap chop term. And basically what we're talking about, for people who don't know, is zenithal underpainting with an added dry brush step. Okay?
Pull them edges, boys and girls.
It's been around for years. It's nothing new to anybody who's been miniature painting for more than fucking a decade. It's a recognised. It's even got grisaille, I think they call it in the art community.
Grisaille.
Yeah, something like that.
Painting with grey tones.
But basically, a load of fucking elitist pricks who frankly need to get over themselves need to. They're just saying, oh, this bloke, he's basically he's been fraudulent. He's trying to portray this as something he's come up with, and all he's doing is relabeling something that's been around for years. Blah blah blah. It's like, mate, it doesn't matter. He's not making himself rich off it. And you know what? If he has got the entire internet talking about it, where's the problem? It's a great technique to allow people with limited ability to get stuff painted like yesterday and to a really good standard. What's the fucking problem?
Well, again, I'm not being funny, but no one has really ever had a new idea when it comes to products or painting methods or anything else.
And as I say, all
just
of this...
because you lift an idea from somewhere else, rebrand it, take it as your own. We fucking spoke about it last week when we came to choosing a colour scheme of using other people and things for inspiration.
Yeah, or even, here's a thought, just directly copy what somebody else has done. I think, as I say, I think what's pissing some people off is that he's managed to come up with this really quirky, weird term, slap chop, and everybody's just taken it and run with it. And it's set the internet afire, and all these sort of like snobs are like, well, it's actually called fucking blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what it was called, mate. It is now called slap chop. And everybody's talking about it, and it's no bad thing. Get over yourself and fuck off.
Get some fucking hobby done.
Yeah, go and slap your chops. I don't know. This fucking... No. Anyway.
And then the last thing, not that you've probably got it queued up, is TT Combat with some new Carnival.
Oh, no, I haven't. Well, TT Combat, we'll talk about them next week. Because TT Combat are always releasing new stuff. They're getting to be as bad as GW. Turn off the fire hose, TT. Turn off the fire hose.
Yeah, but also, when you're trying to keep pace with the fire hose, you have to get yourself a bigger hose.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Tim wants some pork chops. Right, our main topic, mate. So, one of the things we were chewing over ideas about what to talk about on the show, and one of the things that popped into my head was how the hobby can be a positive thing for your mental health and well-being, because ultimately this is a leisure activity that we're all supposed to be doing for fun. Oh, I don't know, mate. I haven't got a clue, Jerry. Is that TT in legal dispute with Secret Weapon? What's that over? Paint?
What?
Or miniatures? I don't know. I haven't got a clue, mate. Yeah, so presumably, as I say, this is a leisure activity that we do for fun. So it's supposed to be something that we enjoy and that gives us positive vibes and leaves us with positive feelings.
Fucking hell, what have you been smoking to be coming out with positive vibes?
But it occurred to me there are actually quite a lot of things in the hobby that if you're not careful, you can fall foul of. And the best way I can put it is that your hobby can become a bit of a burden.
The bouncing of grey.
Oh, stealing their product and IP infringement. Don't know, Jerry. I'll have a Google of it later and have a look and see what that was about.
We'll have a look next week.
I'll see if we've got an opinion. I hadn't come across that. So yeah, because talking about, I mean, we've touched upon several things actually that cast light on the subject, I think, already tonight. Number one is fear of missing out and the pressure to buy new product all the time. Again, it's a really difficult one because on the one hand, like David said about Saucermen Studios, when you have a company that manufactures things that you enjoy, unfortunately, the reality of economics and the capitalist system is that for that company to stay active and keep producing things that you enjoy, you've got to spend your money there, and it's a fine balance between a company having a release schedule that engages you, excites you, and gives you things to enjoy, versus
gives your wallet chance to breathe,
versus a company that is just releasing a constant landslide of product, some of it with limited availability on very narrow time frames, where you feel the pressure of, I need to get this now. If I don't get this now, I won't get it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I think that in our hobby people can get wrong, can't they, mate?
Well, again, we've even touched on it tonight, talking about the Warcrow Kickstarter. Like, FOMO, missing Kickstarter exclusives, missing out on an amazing deal, and the Kickstarter exclusives if you're that way inclined. Because, to be fair,
those platforms, not necessarily to call Corvus and Warcrow out, but just Kickstarter and Backit or Backakit and
Baccarit,
who are the other
Crowdox and
just to call those places out, they're part of the problem as well, aren't they? Because it feeds this model.
Again, you've been on the receiving end of it, because look at the Assassin's Creed Kickstarter that you were a responsible adult, and you didn't spend the money that you didn't have at that particular time.
Yep.
And then had to spend twice the whack to get half the amount at actual release.
Yep. And, I'm quite well adjusted to that fact, but there will be people who would be genuinely stressed and distressed by that.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
So there's that. There's just having a mountain of stuff.
Yeah. Because the other thing is, the next step in the chain is when you've bought all of this stuff, what are you going to do with it? Because, and this doesn't just apply to miniatures and miniature wargamers. Obviously, we are quite
liberal,
unique. Well, no, I was going to say we're quite unique in that we buy things knowing full well that before we can start playing and enjoying that game, we've got a crap ton of further investment beyond the financial to make. We have to maybe build models, paint models. Do you know what I mean? And we take this on, and coming back to the hobby, the healthy hobby idea, this is a good thing for a lot of people. I love the buzz I got from finishing that Skaven Blood Bowl team this morning, slapping the varnish on, getting them in the old photo box and getting some pictures taken. It was awesome. Love it. So, it can definitely be a positive thing. Building, painting, the whole project aspect.
Even for like me, right? I obviously have a mountain of grey. And because I myself, as part of my hobby, pressure myself to paint a certain way and to paint a certain level, painting takes me time.
Yeah.
But I am not offended to play a game with grey minis. I mean, I've still got a 40k army that's 3/4 grey. And I've owned that 6 and a bit years. Let's not go there, shall we?
Yeah, but I mean, again, some some people take it to the extreme where they don't even assemble the minis and just push the bases around. Everybody's got to find their own compromise, and everybody's hobby is only their own.
Yeah.
But I think what's important in this discussion is that it's one of those things where you have to be careful that you don't cross a line and you don't pass a point where it stops being fun. Do you know what I mean?
It's now become a chore.
You know, if you're somebody who sets yourself ridiculous exacting standards on terms of you don't play with unpainted miniatures, or you only want top quality paint jobs, if you keep buying and acquiring and adding to this workload, which is what it will become,
it's only going to get worse.
Just be careful that you don't suddenly shift the perspective on these great products that are a potential for you to enjoy, that are actually just a crushing burden, effectively a pile of shame, that you know, a millstone around your metaphorical neck that you look at and it makes you feel depressed because you just think, oh, I'm never going to get that done. Never going to get that done. And the thing, I don't know, mate. Crispin's obviously, maybe he's busy at work. If he is in, he's often at work. Because the other thing is, it's not just hobby related. I mean, we all spend hundreds of pounds. I've spent a fortune on Kill Team so far, and I've had one game. Admittedly, I've painted the entirety of the Octarius warbands. I've made a start on the terrain, but I've only played one game. And again,
the other thing as well is there's we're sociable creatures.
Yeah.
Occasionally, there's the peer pressure of getting into a new game, even if you know it's not necessarily going to be for you, because you play with a certain group of friends and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like all of the other people are into something, and you're the odd man out.
Yeah.
Because peer pressure is another thing. Peer pressure, again, David, can be positive, can't it? Because you and I, the peer pressure that we exert on each other, we've turned into quite a strong motivational force to get projects finished.
Yeah.
To get work done.
Bully the shit out of each other until it's finished.
In a good way. But that peer pressure could very easily go the other way. And I'll include in peer pressure things like painting on tutorials on the internet and this exposure. We've got this high level exposure we've got to competition level painters and golden demon winners and crystal brush winners and blah blah blah. The pressure that can come from that to make, to because ultimately it's going to have some effect on you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and like I say, hopefully it's a positive effect. It motivates you to try new things, push yourself.
Well, again, like my peer pressure on you at the moment, I keep jokingly, obviously, when you were up in Scotland and stuff, saying to you about that Frostgrove terrain.
Yeah.
But again, this is another thing linking into the hobby side of things. Me and you quite regularly have an evening, have a couple of beers, do some hobby as a group of friends. Sit around the table, chat some shit, drink some beer, have some food, push each other to paint and get stuff done together. This is what this Thursday night is all about.
Yeah, very much
it's
so.
About you lot being here, listening,
golden buttons,
listening to us chat shit while we hobby, and hopefully you guys at home are hobbying. We come at most things with a completely fucking different tack and angle, to the vast majority of people. I'll step down off my soapbox.
Yeah, I mean, but it's part of this is, that Frostgrave project, our way of dealing with it was, like you said, we turned it into a social activity. It was something that I kept postponing. So you said, that's fine, we'll get together on every other Saturday or whatever, and that's going to be the thing we do. And we do, and it's great. And it's a win-win, isn't it? We get the social interaction, we get the satisfaction of getting that project done.
Yeah.
And
I also get to say to you, once we've completed it, now it's your turn to help me with my stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I will, happily. Somebody asked me, half joking the other day, I commented on somebody's Mansions of Madness and said, oh, a lot of grey plastic there, that's heresy. And they said, oh, you feel free to paint it, because they're not painters at all, they're board gamers.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could offer, but I've got a lot of stuff to my own to do at the minute, so I probably won't just now.
Yeah, you got your own mountain of grey to wade through,
but,
let alone somebody else's.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, peer pressure, as I say, can be a good thing, but the clue is in the name. Pressure. Yeah. If you're feeling pressured, well, the first thing is, if you're feeling pressured by stuff you're exposing yourself to on the YouTubes and the internet, is stop doing it. Turn it off. Okay? And if it's your friends and the people that you meet in the flesh, just have that conversation. Yeah? They're your friends.
Yeah.
If them constantly going on about stuff is making you feel inadequate because you don't feel that you're getting your stuff painted, or you're not into this game, you're not into that game, and you can't afford to buy this, and you can't afford, just have a word with them. Do you know what I mean?
It's not the end of the world.
They are. That's what friends are for. Don't let that under pressure.
Jesus.
If this hobby is something that you enjoy, keeping it healthy by balancing the rewards you get from the pressures that you feel is so important.
Again, I think a big part of our hobby, and we've said it before and we'll say it again, we're not painters, we're not modelers, we don't have stuff sat in a cupboard. If that's your jam, that's your jam. All credit to you. Me and Paul are social creatures. We enjoy gaming together, exploring rules. We're hobby magpies. We have a billion projects on the go at once, and anybody that tells us that we can't, we're going to sail off into the distance and ignore you. But that's who we are as people.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I envy the people who, it's like we have, I'm sure everybody who's in our hobby and who dabbles in anything that's not 40k has had this feeling sometimes where they're the only person in the room who does that, because everybody else is 40k. Because obviously 40k is so successful. And I do envy people who've got that focus. Do you know what I mean? Because
again, if you have a lane and you are not scared to come out and say, it's not my jam.
Yeah.
All credit to you. If you know what your jam is, you get your rocks off and do your hobby your way. That's what this is for. This is for you, not for anybody else, not to impress your friends and your family. This is for you. This is your time to sit down and attack things with a brush or a pair of clippers and do things for yourself.
Yeah. But
again,
the only counterpoint to that, I will say, is obviously if you're somebody who enjoys playing 40k, as well as just hobbying on painting the miniatures, building the stuff, buying the stuff, whatever, remember that in that social contract, if you want people to engage and play your game, sacrificing a bit of time to play something that maybe they've got an enthusiasm for, but you're not that bothered about, that's a good investment in terms of friendships. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you need, if I had a passion to try Mad New Game X, I mean, Bushido is going to be the next one for next year. I'm definitely doing Bushido next year. And if I can't find anybody else to come in on me, I will buy and collect 2 factions for Bushido.
Oh, that's for Yellow Belly Tabletop After Dark. That needs soundbiting.
What?
Come on, you. That's what you literally just said.
So,
but again, we've done it. Like, I'm going to call you out on it here. You peer pressured me quite a bit when we went to Norwich the other year before you went away for getting Drowned Earth.
Mm.
And nobody has wanted to play it since you've left.
No.
So it's sat half loved on my project table. I'm a member of the Discord, and I even said to you last year, because there's a few lads over at another club, 17 or not even 17 miles away. It's only 7 miles away in Spalding.
Yes.
That play it regularly because one of the lads there has similarly introduced it and done that kind of thing with it and got a few people interested in it and excited to it. And when I saw it being played over yonder, I even said to you, I'm going to have to find time on a Wednesday and an excuse on a Wednesday to get across to Spalding, get a game in with this club in Spalding that I've not been to before, show my face, be friendly, and play a game that I actually quite enjoy and I quite like.
And I will totally agree with you that is a fair call out, because that is exactly what happened. I got 1 faction, and we were at that Dicini, the convention at Norwich, and it was that situation of if you jump, I'll jump. And in a way, that was, it wasn't fair. I should have been like, no, I'm in, you can try it or whatever. But no, I will give you that. But the other thing is, again, what you and I should do is put ourselves under pressure to get that back on the table. Yeah. We did all the terrain for club.
We did.
We should do it.
It looks sick as fuck.
Be friendly, that's a tough ask for Tim. Raspberry vanilla jam. Really, Tim? I've never seen... That might be a German thing. I've never seen vanilla and raspberry mixed in a jam here.
I mean, you've never shopped in Lidl then, have you?
That is fair. Well, no, actually, that's not true. I have started shopping in Lidl recently. I mean...
a Lidl near you.
Regarding Spalding, mate, I'll be honest, if I didn't work late every Wednesday, I'd have already gone to Spalding.
Yeah.
At least a couple of times. Because I've been before, and it's a good little club, and the people there are really nice.
Well, again, it's awkward for me because obviously it's on days I've got.
Yes, you can only do every other, can't you? Because of your family commitment. Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, again,
I didn't want to get into that and explain that off the back kind of thing. Because again, I'm quite open and honest as a person. Again, it's like you said to me about, obviously, we're back to the every other week schedule of me going around pools and doing this Frostgrave project with him. And I turned around to him and went, no, we're not, mate, because I've still got once a month with Hugh and Laura board gaming. Because that's the commitment I started making at the beginning of the summer. I've still got other hobbies that I enjoy and I like. So like airsoft and stuff that I want to go and do and everything else. So I can't consequentially necessarily stay as late or have as much to spend on bits and pieces than I necessarily should. And I'm just as bad for it for you. Like your birthday presents and Christmas presents. What have I done religiously, basically, since getting my 3D printer.
Well,
Is get you stuff and
Yeah.
throw it at you. Like last year, I obviously went out and bought you Silver Bayonet as a Christmas present.
Yes.
Because you'd been talking about it and wanting to play it and everything else. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I still do.
And then rather than be that guy and just get him a rules book, I went, you know what, actually, I'm going to put some time and effort in. I've got a few minis that will fit this theme-wise.
Yeah.
I'm going to print them for him as well and send them to him, and it'll be a complete and utter surprise, because one thing will turn up one day and I'll go, what the fuck's this? And then the next day it'll turn up and it'll all explain itself.
Yeah, because the book came direct, didn't it?
Yeah, the book came direct from Amazon.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, it's I know from my own point of view is I've got quite a firm grip on my hobby. It's like looking at that.
Yeah, you're not on the edge of a slippery slope, and you have obviously as well. We've touched on it tonight with the fire hose and the release schedule and the price of certain minis. You have disposable income, and you know where your limits lie.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been through some dark times. I tell you, the dark times for me were collectible card games in the mid '90s, late '90s.
Yeah, well, again, I've still got your what's it called? Your framed print.
My 40k
uncut 40K
winner's sheet.
Yeah,
but with those collectible card games, all of the ones that I was into, they're all now defunct. And I was buying multiple boxes a month.
Yeah.
60, 80 quid, which was a lot in the 90s. It's a lot now. A month. Game of Thrones, UFS, 40k, Warcry, all now defunct. I'm talking about Game of Thrones CCG for everybody who says, oh, there's still an LCG. Yeah, this is the one before it.
This is the granddaddy of them.
Yeah, and those cards, I spent thousands, and then the games just go away, and nobody wants to play with you. Nobody wants to play those games once they die.
Yeah, and I suppose this is another thing. Unlike, and I'm not beating on the card gamers when I say this, because I'm guilty of liking a bit of Magic occasionally. But for a card game, you don't have a lot to show for your money or your time investment.
The other thing with the CCG model is because you buy as a random, you end up overspend to chase things that you've got that it's random that you'll get. So it is like gambling. It becomes a gamble.
Whereas with a miniatures hobby, yes, you say you even had the same sort of affliction for spending that amount a month.
I'll be honest.
To show for it.
To be honest,
time and investment for it.
The whole blind buy thing, I would never do again. Because GW do the little boxes, don't they, where you get like a blind buy of a marine model?
Yeah.
Would never buy it. Magic the Gathering. No. I still play Commander. I still like budget modern. What do? Buy singles. I will not buy booster boxes unless it's for draft.
Again.
I won't buy in crack boosters. Won't do it.
Even
I'm over
draft, you're not overly worried about, like I've said before about a draft, and Wayne at Club's done it as well. We'll do a draft, but because I've bought the cards, I own the cards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
You're not even too fussed about doing a draft like that, because it's more the experience of the draft and the social interactions than wanting the cards at the end of it. Because again, you've got complete and a fucking potluck of what you draft and how good your deck is, because it's whatever was in those packs.
Plus the fact I'm terrible at draft. As we discussed on that live stream when I said about playing that Dinosaurus game, which was like a draft cube board game thing. I suck at draft games. I'm crap at it. Can't do it.
My only experience of drafting was Theros block MTG.
Yeah.
And I was good at it, and I won at Club because I had invested time in playing Arena and drafting digitally with free to play. I will not spend money on Arena for actual cards, but only.
So you'd already tried the draft
I
format in that block.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to do with the decks. I knew what was available to me. I knew if this card comes up, get it, because it'll work with most things. And I'd done probably about 8 or 9 digital drafts before I actually sat down at the table with everybody else. But that's what I wanted to do. And at that point, I was actually quite enjoying Arena, and I was quite enjoying drafting, and I was quite enjoying the build a deck from a small pool, because there's lads that are not playing free-to-play Arena and buying all of the ridiculous decks that like kill you in 2 turns. So it's like, yeah, what's the point in playing those games and just having the timer spin round, waiting for those games to be, it's all over by turn 3.
Yeah.
So that's why I veered into the draft side of things, but I didn't spend money on it. I just refused.
Yeah, no, because constructed is so toxic in Magic.
Yeah. So consequentially, I stepped away from Arena because it just became a fucking diatribe with the release of the Omnath set.
Yeah. He was well balanced, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, it started with Throne of Eldraine, didn't it? And fucking Oko. And then into fucking Omnath from fucking whatever block he was from.
I don't know.
And there's been bits and pieces since that I've looked at the artwork and I've looked at the cards and gone, oh, they're pretty, they're nice. But I've not gone back.
No.
I've uninstalled it because it's just not for me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm like you. I gave up on Arena, even the free-to-play experience sucked. So it's like,
well, again, you're playing free-to-play against people that are not playing free-to-play.
Yeah,
it's like, why am I actually fucking bothering?
Yeah, the game doesn't accommodate it. So coming back to the topic, what would you say is your? Because obviously, I think we've pretty much covered all of the sources of... Actually, there's one pressure we haven't talked about, isn't there?
Go on.
Time.
Yeah,
because...
Actually, yeah. It's the one we talk about fucking most on stream, and yet we've completely missed it up until now.
Yeah,
we've said about it before with terrain, pre-painting terrain...
Because
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, you and I have almost made it our flag to wave, haven't they? Like, do everything you can to save your time, your hobby time. But I mean, you've bought all this stuff, you're putting the hobby work in, but that time you've got other. In fact, you just talked about it. You've got other hobbies and interests. You might have family, children, siblings, friends, a job. Do you know what I mean? When you've got this project, whether that's 1 miniature or 500 miniatures and a load of terrain, whatever your project is, that's going to need a certain amount of your time and your attention. And you've got other things demanding your time and attention. Everybody has other things in their life that demand their time and attention, even if they live at home as a retiree and only have a pet. You know, everybody has something, with a possible exception of Jerry.
Normal bodily functions, getting up, having a
everybody
shower,
has something that they need to do other than just sit here and play with toy soldiers. And again, it's a fine line, and that line is drawn in a different position for everybody. Again, to speak from personal experience, when I was in my 20s and 30s and I married into a ready-made family with 5 stepchildren, all of school age, I didn't do miniature wargaming at all. There was no way on earth I had time to paint models, assemble terrain, do any of that. I played CCGs because all I had to do was crack the boosters and sort the cards and give some thought to deck building. And I played the odd PC and console game because when I was ready, Jerry's bitten the hook went out there. You know, I just didn't have the time.
Well, again, for me, obviously having a under 7-year-old from time to time, because of the situation I have, means that I don't necessarily get to hobby as much as I want to hobby. However, counterpoint, I am looking forward to when he can pick up a brush and he can hobby with me.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, again,
and sharing that with him.
Yeah, and as my experience reflects, now I'm 50, and my children have all grown up, left home, have children of their own, and I'm a grandfather, and basically it's me, the wife, and the dogs, and I, you know, don't have the pressures that I had when I was younger. I've got more time for this, and like you say, your life will change as you get older. Some of the pressures you've got will change. You eventually your son will grow up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he may be a participant in the hobby. He may not be. You don't know. You have to see how it goes. But whatever, you'll no longer be as responsible. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another. It's another thing that you've got to balance to keep a healthy hobby. What you be so conscious of, and again, here's another one we've not really touched on it, mate. Only tangentially, money.
Yeah.
You know, like any leisure activity, my stepson loves his motorbikes. Motorbikes don't come cheap. You know, leathers, helmet.
Airsoft rifles for me.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I've in a sort of a spirit of self-awareness, I've realised I can only really financially support one hobby, so I don't play my guitar. I don't look at buying new amps and pedal racks and upgrading my guitar. And I don't play console games. I don't buy PC games. I don't do any of that stuff anymore because I've been aware.
Zoned in on what you.
Well, because the thing is I've got the awareness and I've got the control on my hobby. I've got the grip to actually say, no, okay, this isn't going to work for you, Paul. You've only got a limited pot of money. Where are you putting it? You've only got a limited amount of time. What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
But
I know what you mean, mate. And again, what looks, and I think this is actually quite a good point to round up on, seeing as we're coming up to 10 minutes left at the end of the show. What is healthy for Paul? What is healthy for me? What is healthy for Jerry and Tim and anyone else watching this video? And the goals that they live by when it comes to hobby aren't one size fits all.
Not at all.
They are their own to nail, to do, to live by, to feel guilty about. I mean, I'm surprised Jerry hasn't mentioned fucking Assassin's Creed to me.
Yeah, well...
And I'm actually a little disappointed, Jerry.
Yeah, do you know what? When we were talking about peer pressure, I thought that was going to be a given, that he was just going to start spamming the comments with things about Assassin's Creed. I don't think I've said it yet, Tim, but your Frostgrave looked fucking amazing, by the way, mate, on Instagram.
It did look good on Facebook when I saw it. It's getting there, mate. It's getting there. There's not much left to do on it now, is there?
Well, Jesus Christ, he's painted like 5 wizards, 5 apprentices, about 20 to 30 bloody support guys. He's easily got enough to build 2 complete wall bands already. And he's been building terrain as he goes. Oh, it's just monsters, basically, you've got in it, Tim.
Then I thought I'd wait until Tuesday.
Yeah. And he thought he'd got away with it, but he was wrong. Nice one, Jerry. Yeah, so as a parting shot then, mate, out of all the things we've talked about, what would you say is your weakest or your biggest vulnerability in terms of pressure and the thing, if something was going to sour the hobby for you, which of the things that we've discussed do you think it would be?
For me, it's two things. One is the standards that I live and paint by.
Okay.
Because I will not compromise on them. I don't care what anyone says about the fact that it takes me months to finish 4 miniatures. They're painted to a standard that I like, I enjoy, and every time I get them out of the box, I go, "Oh, I like that." Do you know what I mean? I'm never looking at a job going, "I wish I'd done that differently." Yeah. Occasionally, color choice, yeah, but I like how it's come together in the end. Linking into last
you've got your standards, and they're not flexible.
Yeah,
and sometimes you feel the pressure of that.
Yeah.
Not in an unmanageable way, but you're saying it for you. It's the one that if something were to get you, it would be that.
Yeah, it's the standards that I hold myself to and the time, because I don't have often to hobby. I don't have much of a hobby space, other than the desk I'm sat at the moment, which is A2, just over A2 size. So obviously, when I have a project on the table with all the paints and stuff out, it consumes quite a lot of space. I've got better, and particularly got better since obviously we've been pressuring one another to sit down, chat shit, paint, and that's where this stream has come from, is us chatting shit most evenings, painting, doing a little bit of hobby.
When you say you've got better, do you mean in terms of the productivity or the ability to compromise with yourself?
Yeah, the ability. Well, again, to compromise with myself and say, okay, I'm not gaming on the Xbox. I'm not watching Rings of Power or whatever else I'm watching on TV. I'm going to paint because this is what I enjoy and this is what I need to do to work through my mountain of grey. So obviously I need to spend time painting because I'm not willing to compromise on my standards. If I had more of a hobby space, if I had more time, I'd be happier. I'm happy where I'm at with how I'm painting and what I'm doing.
Yes.
But you can always be happier.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, definitely. I mean, none of us live in an ideal world with an ideal life, I doubt. I mean, we all think, I'm sure, could say, oh, that would be better if. Well, for me, I think it's been highlighted already tonight. I tell you what, I do like the way that this show's been very self-referential. FOMO. Impulsively spending money on something because I'm already invested. And
what's a little more to her?
Yes, exactly. That's the one thing that for me I think could still runs the risk of bringing me misery and making me actually annoyed with myself and annoyed with my hobby. I'm really good at not investing where I don't feel I should. Take Warcrow as an example. If I'm standing at the gate on something new and somebody's saying to me, "Oh, what do you reckon to this? Do you think this is worth a few quid?" I'm quite confident in saying I've got an iron will. I will weigh it all up, and if I don't think it's for me, I ain't giving them a red cent.
Well, again, like you say, FOMO for you, because when
Thanks for sharing, Tim. So did you see Tim's put hubby's Achilles heel? So for you, it's too many projects at any one time. So it's that starting too much, but burdening yourself with too much responsibility and pressure instead of taking it in smaller chunks, which is fair. Anyway, mate, you were saying, sorry, just wanted to call out Tim's comment.
Props and hats off to Tim for sharing it, etc. Anybody else, throw it in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this after the show ends.
Yeah. If you dare, Jerry, what's your Achilles heel? We promise not to exploit it.
But that evening I was over at yours, the Assassin's Creed Kickstarter was ending. I backed it and I didn't go all in at that point. I only went for the half deal.
Yeah.
And backed it, and you were like, "Oh, you bastard!" And the fact that you knew you were missing out. But it's like I said to you at the time, because at that particular point as well, you weren't moving to Scotland. It wasn't an issue because we're decent mates. We were having hobby night once a week over at Paul's at this particular point, playing Frostgrave for a month, playing Blood Bowl, playing a game for a month outside a club, or having these hobby nights, chilling, playing and building Drowned Earth and painting up some Drowned Earth, etc.
Yeah.
As a bunch of mates. And it's like I said to you, it's no bother, because when all those minis turn up, you can help me paint them, because we'll both play it and we'll both love it and we'll both enjoy it. Lo and behold, you moved to Scotland and you felt even worse after that point, I think, as well.
No, but again, to be fair, mate, I didn't. That is a good example, because even though I really, Assassin's Creed is one of my favourite computer game franchises ever. I really wanted in on that Kickstarter. I just did not have the money. And it was a case of, okay, I don't have the money, I'm going to miss it. It's not a problem. I mean, as it was, it turned out that they had excess stock, and then they went to retail with some of it afterwards. And I did pay over the odds, but I got the core pledge and an expansion. So I did get some of it, and that's great. But having walked away from it, I was perfectly happy not to have any of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As I say, my problem is when I'm invested, I like to keep running on that treadmill, and if I'm not careful, I make bad decisions.
Well, Kill Team Tonight's a prime example, isn't it?
It is, and you called it earlier, and Tim called it in the chat. What they've done with this release of Kill Team has really pissed me off. But like Tim says, what I need to do is when the next one rolls up in 6 weeks for another 110 quid, is say to them, do you know what? Those miniatures are lovely, but fuck off. You're not having my money. I'm done.
Yeah, walk away from it and be the bigger bloke.
Yeah. And Tim called it.
Jerry's Achilles heel. Have you seen it in chat?
Yeah, Games Workshop. And I don't know if he's trolling us or if he's serious. Because I don't think I've ever heard him say a positive word about Games Workshop, or at least nothing that they've released in the last 10 years.
Explain yourself, Jerry.
What do you mean, Jerry? Do you mean that you can still be tempted to buy their overpriced products? Or is it that you love the old stuff and get scalped by eBay and all the resellers? What do you mean by Games Workshop? Both. It's all right. Tim's answered for him. Yeah. It's an interesting one.
And again, we're here to have those conversations and open those talking points. I think that's what we like to do, and we like to talk around a situation and tie ourselves in knots and get in circles, like we've done before with the OPR stream and the terrain stream and picking a war game for you stream. It's about having a discussion and opening it up, because the other thing is, and this is actually probably a really good point that I want to end on, is gatekeeping. If we don't talk to younger people or introduce new people into the hobby, how do we grow? How do we have new ideas, new games? How do we develop stuff? How do we grow our friendship circle?
Yeah.
And let's not stand here and be hobby snobs and gatekeepers.
Oh, I see, right. Yeah.
Fucking Trevor in the Discord this week, bless his soul, is painting Dwarven Blood Bowl team for the first time properly, isn't he?
Yes. Yep.
And his enthusiasm for painting this week and the pictures that he's put up are really infectious.
Well, the other thing is to sort of explain to people at home. Trevor's a chap at our club. He's been sort of gaming, not as hardcore as some, but he's been gaming for a while, and he's always been keen to try new things. But he's not made that. Even though he's been playing games like Blood Bowl for years, he's never made that step into the hobby part of it.
Yeah,
so beyond playing the game, actually painting models and things. And I don't want to speak for him, but I suspect there's a lot of... He's been uncertain that he's got the ability or got it within him to do it. And he's finally crossed that threshold, like David said. And he's so... it's like lifting the veil from his eyes. He's done a great job on his first half dozen Blood Bowl miniatures. Just nice, clean, tidy base coats and an Agrax bath. And do you know what? They look absolutely banging. As a first paint job, I'd be dead proud of him. And his infectious enthusiasm that's going on in our Discord at the minute is amazing. Innit, mate?
Yeah. Again, I think some of it before up until now, because he said it to me, like he's bought some Underworlds mini. He's actually been intimidated and scared when he's come to building the Underworlds minis.
He was actually afraid, was he? Because he's never sort of said out.
He's with the clipping him off the sprue, with the assembly, with the multi-part, and getting him to go together. It was physically frustrating him. He came and built them at club.
Okay.
I helped him with building them, and was saying to him don't be conservative with the glue that you're applying so that you don't scar and murder the miniature within an inch of its life, because it is plastic glue and it is melting the miniature.
Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, don't be scared of it either.
No.
Everyone starts somewhere, whether it's a £2 Reaper PVC mini that you can throw under a bus and it'll still come out okay, a 45 quid single one-off sculpt from the likes of Wargame exclusive, etc. Don't be intimidated by it. You're doing your hobby.
Yeah.
Sod what anyone else says about, you can still see the seam lines on that, or you've not drilled the barrel. Because again, that's another thing. You always drill all your barrels. I never bother.
Yeah.
It's just fucking time consuming, and I don't have time for it. I'd rather dot it with paint. Yes, it's not as realistic, but who gives a crap?
Again,
because I certainly don't.
It's what you said. A hobby's a personal thing, and your own standards are your own standards. It's like I know I embrace products like Quickshade and but and there's no shame you saying that product is not for me. That's fine. Not every product is for every customer, and not every game is for every player. It's your hobby.
There's no shame in holding your hands. And again, right? If somebody is inviting you to, we've done it before. If you invite somebody to a table to play a game to try and get them intrigued and excited about it, and then Joe turns around and says, actually, this game isn't for me. I'm not enjoying it. There's no shame in it.
No.
You've said it, and...
Again, the thing is, I always positively encourage people to say when they don't like something, because it's really important that you are able to be honest with yourself and everybody else.
Yeah.
Because genuine friends don't want to put their friends through misery just for their own fucking ends. Do you know what I mean? If
Tim's making me violently ill with his last comment.
See what Hugh's put? Hugh's saying it's about making mistakes and enjoying the process. It is, mate. again, it's the healthy hobby thing. Every step of the process, even, you know, from the shopping to the playing the game and everything in between that, it's supposed to be a pleasurable leisure activity.
I mean,
And
again,
if it's not, you need to stop doing it or change the way you're doing it so it becomes that.
Again, I don't want to put words in Hugh's mouth here, but for Hugh, from the discussions that I've had with him and the pictures and everything else, it's for painting and for him.
Yeah.
He's not really got... He wants to come down to the club and he wants to play a game every now and then, and he likes his board games and stuff. He's not building a Grey Knight's army or painting all these Space Marine chapters to play a game with them. He's doing it for himself and to have something to show for it rather than digital gaming where you not necessarily waste time, but you don't have anything to show at the end of it.
Yeah, but to be honest, if you don't need that, you don't need that. Again, if digital gaming is your thing, that's your thing. I used to do it a lot. It was basically my main hobby, playing Xbox and that. But as soon as I had the time pressures lifted a little, I went straight back to real world stuff. Well, I tell you what, mate, we've nattered on enough. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, well, let me just turn off my compressor so I'm not shouting over it. Thank you very much for everybody who was here.
It's been a pleasure talking to you all.
Yeah, it's been a great chat. He's sat on Xbox now. Well, you enjoy your gaming, Hugh. Thanks for everybody who was here in the chat. As I said, if you can find time to do one thing and one thing only, please like the video. And if you can find extra time, feel free to do any of the other things displayed on screen in front of you now. Share, comment, subscribe. And particularly comments about the topic. What's your hobby Achilles heel? And did we miss anything else that could be a source of hidden pressure or stress within the hobby?
A burden. Again, we've not even really touched on it, but eyesight, for example, with yourself, with your magnifiers that you're always wearing.
Like disabilities and restrictions, getting older. Essential male tremor is a very common affliction of middle-aged men. Loss of fine motor control. You know, there are all sorts of things that we've not even had a chance to talk about. But yet, if you've got thoughts, stick them in the comments below. And we hope you all have a good week of gaming. And David and I will be saying see you next week.
Well, about that, it might just be you next week. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news now, but it might just be you next week. You might be flying solo, mate. I might just be here in the comments lurking.
Why?
I'm away.
That's a feeble excuse.
Says you that fucking cancelled on me playing Armada. And on that note, boys and girls, I think it's time to end the stream.